Hey everybody, back on the floor of Denver Comic Con 2018. I'm here with Lauren of Beanie Cat Prints and Lake Bala Comic. How are you today, Lauren?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. It was less enthusiastic this time because I screwed up recording last time. So I stopped by your booth the first time going through determining what I was going to do with my afternoon because you drugged me into your booth. And I started looking at your stuff and you have this really cool manga style of art. And I'm just wondering, how'd you get started as an artist, and where do you draw your inspiration from?
So I first got started after reading Calvin and Hobbes, and then watching Batman the animated series. And I just kind of, in third grade or so, I just started and haven't stopped since.
What drew you into this kind of style? If you were into the Batman and Calvin kind of cartoony.
Well, I went through my anime phase when I was a little bit younger, and since then I've kind of tried to go a little bit away from that and try to get a little bit more cartoony. I really love, styles like Gravity Falls and the new Thundercats type of style. Kind of like Steven Universe, yeah, and I kind of want to try and get more away from the anime and a little bit more into the Western animation type deal, but it still is very... Its roots are in anime and manga, definitely.
So tell us a little bit about your comic, Lake Bala.
So Lake Bala is early in its run. It's I'm working on chapter 5 at the moment, but suffice to say, so it's a post-apocalyptic comic. It takes place about 500 years after the apocalypse. Humans have been decimated by a disease, and the only survivors are at the bottom of the food chain and have sequestered themselves behind this giant wall, which is a cliche, but I like it. So basically, they're fighting for their survival pretty much against hostile wild animals, and then something happens.
Which I assume is a spoiler, so you're not going to tell us.
It is very much a spoiler, yes.
So it looks like you really you draw a lot of really cartoony things. It sounds like you have a really serious kind of plot to your comic book. How do you reconcile those two things?
I revel in the disconnect, really. A lot of my comic is based on huge expression, and I really try and make my characters feel alive. And a lot of that is based in cartoons, because if you look at, anime and manga, they all have the weird expressions where their eyes turn into circles or whatever. And I try not to do that. I try and make my expressions more organic. And in order to do that, you have to have kind of a cartoony style to really push those expressions and make them feel like they're actually feeling what they're feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. It's really awesome. It's cool to think about having a serious book with kind of almost a childlike aspect of the cartoon. That's really neat. So.